Man, I know the view is ticked off after watching this, man. I'm just saying, like, common sense is just not common. First of all, we reacting to 2 view videos in one day. Oh, pray for me. I'm going to pray for y'all brain cells, too. But let's get into it.
So you heard us talking about RFK Jr. being the head of HHS. What do you think about that appointment?
The executives will nominate and bring in those who they believe will move their vision forward. And everything from the fluoride issue, I believe we should have fluoride in the water based on what my experts are telling me. But let's be clear, we have a real problem with our food in our country. And we need to watch what we're feeding our children. And
what is the major problem, do you think?
Too much hormones. You know, many people know. People know my. You know,
you couldn't even agree on the very basic, on a very basic level that we have a health crisis in America. You know what I'm saying? Like, really? What do you think the health problem is? She was trying to get the gotcha mom. I don't care what nobody say. That wasn't trying to ask no question in a way that's like, oh, let me, you know, just what are some things that you might really actually be concerned about? It's like, oh, so what are some things you're concerned about? And then when he said hormones, she's like, oh, okay, well, shoot, that ain't the gotcha moment. Man, these people.
Too much hormones. You know, many people know my, you know, I almost lost my sight with diabetes. The doctor told me I would be blind in a year. I was going to lose my fingers and toes. And it was my food. It wasn't my DNA. It was my dinner.
But JFK Jr. RFK Jr. ate some pork and now he has a brain worm. Is he the person that should be in charge of that?
Wow. Low vibrational voters. You can't get your way, so you throw a tantrum. I can't have intellectual conversation with somebody who wants to sit here and spew their emotions over into it. Oh, he ate some pork and he has a brain worm. Should he be da-da-da? Now, I don't know. I never heard RFK say this. I haven't heard this been surrounded by him. I don't know if that's true at all. I will say, though, coming from her in the way that she just presented that, total cap, yo. Like, you acting like the man is trying to poison you. He's quite literally trying to make sure your food is healthy. What? Donald Trump asked him to do 3 things. 3 things. We're going to talk about those 3 things in a minute, but let me stop it.
Yeah, well, let's right. And let's understand this also. In all of these agencies, there are thousands of employees and experts that understand these topics, and there are rules, there are regulations.
Mayor, a lot of them want to resign. When they see some of the people that are going to be on top, I think there's going to be a mass exodus of people who have the institutional knowledge and the institutional memory and DOD
well, I would hope so
at HHS. Who wants to work under a cook?
And let me respond to that.
First of all, I'll say that they interrupt way more than me right now. Like, I'll probably like, yo, stop pausing the video. But it's either me or them.
And let me respond to that. If we love our country, then no one individual should take us away from our mission.
Yes.
If you dedicated your life to a particular place, I dedicated my life to law enforcement. So if a new commissioner came in that I disagreed with, I was not going to say, I'm going to resign. Let's love the country. Let's love our cities. Let's get away from the rhetoric of the professionalism that we know. Those are experts in this. They're going to look at his proposal, do a real analysis, and make these decisions. It happens every day.
Shouldn't he have a background at least? He should have some kind of background in this type of thing.
Let me just...
I got to keep adding and keep piling on. Like, yo, y'all, I'm taking away from the substance in this man's message. But you got to at least have somebody that's qualified. Like, so you think that he was speaking, you think he was saying he wants somebody who was unqualified for the position, somebody who don't know nothing? Like, really? Come on, bro. Oh, my gosh. Our tax dollars was used to see some about, you know, which monkeys are aggressive on tequila or vodka. Literally, look this up. And I feel like those tax dollars should have been used for The View, for the same experiment of TDS.
You should have some kind of background in this type of thing.
Let me just... Okay, so Mayor, when Trump returns to office, he will actually have a lot of power with the Republican-controlled Senate and House. He suggested at times using the National Guard to target the enemy within, and key members of his last administration called him a fascist. But you've defended him. Can you explain?
No, I defended the rhetoric that we're using across our country and what our children are listening to and what we're doing. We've reached a point in this country where we no longer want to engage in conversation. They were even calling him Hitler. That's an insult.
That was only his vice president.
That was an insult. That was an insult to the millions of Jews and others who died. We know what Hitler did. And what I said to our country, when I'm on the streets talking to my young people who are protesting on college campuses, wearing Hamas signs and calling for the destructions of groups, I said, we have to bring down this rhetoric. We have to start engaging in conversation. You know, Obama said it right, and I agree. This is not the divided state. This is the United States. We're the greatest country on the globe, and people are watching us and name calling.
But do you think Trump should have brought down the rhetoric? Because
everybody should.
Well, let's start at the top then, because maybe it trickles down.
Everybody should. Everybody should.
Oh my gosh. I really feel sorry for anybody who put a thing in any of them. I'ma just keep it real, man. This level of intellectual immaturity and dishonesty is just, bro, this is just far-fetched. It's like, he's sitting here saying that we all need to take accountability. We all need to, focus on, spewing the right, communicating the correct rhetoric and creating civil discourse. And the only thing you can come out of that is, oh, well, Trump needs to do it too, right? Bro, come on, man. Like, the view, y'all gotta go, man. Oh my gosh, this is just insane. It's sad that you would have to explain to these grossly, I can't even read the other two parts. I'll just say overlate sniffers on the view in that America has gotten fat. The tide is turning, but it's still a long way to go. Democrats have gotten so used to winning by attacking a person instead of discussing the idea that they are stuck on that starting line. Yes, because that's all they can do is spew insult. Nothing else. Nothing else. Shout out to Mayor Adams, though. He's very professional and it made the pettiness even more obnoxious. I'm going to keep it real. Wow. Well, I guess I'll go to the next clip. Remember I told y'all about the 3 things that Trump asked RFK to do? Yeah, let's get into it.
People kind of look at you like you're crazy because I think they just are in this world of doctors know everything. And I think you're telling us in medical school you learn doctors don't. I always say, if they know everything, why do you always have to get a second opinion?
Well, if they knew everything.
You're saying it's an opinion. And by the way, the second one never matches the first one. They're always guessing. I'm not saying they're corrupt, although there is some of that.
If they knew everything, then why would we be spending $4.5 trillion per year on healthcare costs and life expectancy is going down in the United States? Why are 80% of healthcare costs going towards chronic illnesses that are rooted in diet and lifestyle, yet at the vast majority of American medical schools, doctors in training are not taking a single nutrition course? And so you have to ask these questions. If we were crushing it, we would not be spending 2x every other country in the entire world and have the lowest life expectancy of any developed country in the entire world. We are the sickest of the top 11 high-income countries in the world. We have the highest infant and maternal mortality rates, and our life expectancy is 10 years less than our friends in Japan and Switzerland. Right now, according to the Journal of American Medical Association, the average American man in America, age 73 is their life expectancy. It is 83 in Japan and Switzerland. This is something we should all be outraged about. And only one party in our election cycle this year was talking about chronic illness. The words chronic illness, as far as I know, never came out of the Harris campaign's mouth. And I think that was a misstep because Americans are, I think, tired of being gaslit about the fact that there's not a problem right now. And we look around us and we know there is. And Trump has asked RFK to do 3 simple things. He's asked to get the corruption out of the U.S. health agencies, produce uncompromised evidence-based research for our health guidelines, and reverse the trends of the chronic disease epidemic in 2 years for children and adults so that we can show up for our 250th anniversary of America stronger than ever. That sounds pretty good to me.
Huge shout out to Dr. Casey for wowing that liberal audience, and she even got them to cheer when she broke that down. Told y'all 3 things, man. That's all he asked for, and I don't see how anybody anywhere, American or not American, can agree with something like that. Seriously. Doctors practice medicine, if that tells you anything, okay? That's what they do. The United States, the richest country, but with the health of a developing nation, what kind of betrayal is this? Somebody wrote, if being the sickest country isn't alarm enough, then what is it? That's how you know RFK is going to be great for this position. Now, when asked if he fears, RFK just said, that is, when he was asked if he fears assassination for talking about Big Pharma, the CIA, or the FBI, he answered with unwavering courage. Yeah, man. Check it out.
Will, last question.
Hey, Mr. Kennedy, I think you're going to win, and I'm a boomer. You are going after some of the largest entities that exist: Big Pharma, Big Agri, Big Government, the CIA, the FBI. Do you think that means that we elect you, right? Are you going to live? Are they going to come after you?
Well, that's not something, Will, that I worry about. I think there are, I'm not stupid about it. So I have, the government, the White House has denied me Secret Service protection. But I do take precautions, and I have a very good security firm, Gavin DeBecker Associates, that is doing my security right now. So I'm not stupid about it, but it's not something that preoccupies me. I was raised in a family where we were taught that number one, there's a lot worse things than dying. And one of those things is living like a slave or having our children lose all the freedoms that so many generations of Americans died to give us and to protect during the Revolutionary War. There was a whole generation of Americans that put their lives on the line, their fortunes, their property, their salaries, their reputations, their contacts on a line to purchase us these freedoms. And many of them died. During the Civil War, 659,000 Americans died to keep these freedoms. And we have to be willing, our generation, to make sacrifices to make sure that we don't lose them, and we've seen attacks, unprecedented attacks on our freedom of speech, on our freedom of worship, on all of the amendments of the Constitution over the past 3 years. They're unprecedented. And it's important for everybody to stand up and say, we're not going to do this. We're going to, even if there's some risks involved, reputational risks, salary risks, we need to make sacrifices for our country.
If you live a simple, clean lifestyle, then they're not going to make as much money, and they're not going to have as much power in Washington and throughout the rest of the country. It's really about power, isn't it?
Well, it's about power and raw economic incentive. And as much as we can suggest that it's simple, it's not easy, and it's not easy by design. And in fact, it's called structural violence. And it's this collaboration of this toxic quartet, if you will, of the way big farming proliferates these cheap, toxic calories. Big food picks up those calories, and they tinker with it a bit more with their food scientists to make it more addictive, to make it omnipresent. Then Big Pharma catches us on the other side and starts treating all of our sicknesses with all their diseases. And we won't even touch on big insurance and how they play a role because there isn't enough time. But the bottom line is, look at the world. It's this simple. Infertility, highest ever. Early onset cancer diagnosis up 79% over the last 3 decades. 74% of adults in America are overweight and obese. We need change. We need it now. What they're doing isn't working, and it's not working on purpose because it's profitable for the very few. And it's bankrupting Americans. It's the number one cause of bankruptcy is a health-related condition, and it's killing them. If you're afraid of RFK, you've lost your mind. Take a back seat. Let the professionals in this space handle it, and thank God.
I'm just saying, somebody who ain't afraid, who ain't gonna back down, this is definitely somebody I can get behind. As a father, as a man, as a human, not just as a man. I don't even know why I said that, but as a parent, shall I say, that'd be most appropriate. This is something that I'm very concerned about. And of course, you guys have been seeing, y'all been seeing my health slightly. I wasn't crazy big and nothing like that, but as of today, I'm 190 pounds. A year ago, literally in November, when I started my health journey, I was 43 pounds, 243 pounds, I'm sorry. So that's, 53 pounds, lost. Now, I'm saying this to say I started educating myself on food, really starting on, I don't even eat processed foods whatsoever at this point, on a regular basis. I ain't gonna lie, I do, and now and again stop up at a drive-through real quick, I ain't perfect, but for the most part, I'm saying all this to say, I watched how it started to affect my babies and how I had issues, my own personal issues recently that I don't want to, reveal to y'all. But it was definitely food related. So yes, this is something that hit close to home. Now, Scott Jennings, he exposes CNN anchors for their bias against RFK Jr. Man, there's no good reason why RFK Jr. should be HHS secretary, but there's no managerial experience in his resume. Yeah, look at Scott Jennings' reply to that.
If we're being intellectually honest, there's really no good reason why Bobby Kennedy, RFK Jr., should be HHS secretary. An advisor, a confidant, somebody who talks to the president and advises, but there's no managerial experience in his resume. There's nothing that says he is qualified to do this job that is in charge of the health of all of us, all these different lanes. If he has views and has insights around food sources, around vaccines, then those should be given in advisory roles.
Why?
Because
what were the qualifications of the previous ones?
Well, I think it's important to always remember
qualifications.
that you put yourself. Say that again?
What were the management qualifications? I mean, Xavier Becerra.
I'm not talking about the previous. I'm looking forward.
But you're calling into question whether he could actually do this job, and I think it's
absolutely. I think America is now, and I think
it's important to discuss it because Xavier Becerra was just a lawyer and a politician with no management experience.
So does two wrongs make a right?
Sylvia Burwell was a Walmart lobbyist. Donna Shalala was a university person. Look,
RFK Jr. is a nut.
Okay, so that's different than what you just said. You just said he doesn't possess the requisite managerial experience, but then we get to the real issue here, which is you want to insult the man, which is your right to do because you opposed him in the election. But you, doctor, are raising the issues that he has been raising, and I think they're appropriate questions to raise. I don't know whether he can be confirmed or not. The vaccine stuff at the table is obviously going to be the flashpoint of this hearing. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you one thing. This whole issue of the CDC and these public health agencies, look, public trust in the health regime in this country is as low as it's ever been.
But why?
It's because of COVID.
Right.
Because of school closures. Because of mask mandates. Because this country was, but let me just finish. Because this country was drugged through a bunch of condescending and heavy-handed mandates that all turned out to be garbage, and that's why it's low, and the questions are valid.
And RFK is the answer to all of that.
Yeah, but RFK helped promote the assault on the CDC that lowered the disinformation that led to more than a million deaths, Scott. More than 1 million deaths in the United States, higher than any other industrialized nation per capita. That's the result of failed policies, the demonization of the conspiracy theories.
Whose policies?
Yeah, man, you really see who these people are. You start insulting when you can't, come up with a reply to something that you're actually setting up. Oh, what makes them qualified? Now, what makes any of the Peeries people qualified? Oh, but that doesn't matter. We're looking for it. No. That definitely matters. It's somebody who's actually concerned about health, okay? These people wasn't even in the department either. But this guy at least has knowledge and not willing to go, he's willing to go after the big companies. On top of that, he's not just going off of his guesses. He's willing to look at scientific research and data, which you people completely skip over. The party of DEI wants to talk about qualifications. Priceless.